Good afternoon and welcome to the public board meeting of June 16th, 2026. This is our final board meeting of the 25-26 school year, and this year we have a room filled with incredible people. We have some ICE scholarship winners that we get to celebrate right away today. Before we get to that, I would like to acknowledge that in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy and acknowledge the signatories of Treaty 7, the Métis people and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations. Lethbridge School Division, staff and students living and benefiting from Blackfoot Confederacy traditional territory honor the traditions of people who have cared for this land since time immemorial. Lethbridge School Division also acknowledges all Indigenous students, staff, and families who have helped shape and continue to strengthen our school community in the past, present, and in the future. Item 3 on our agenda is our consent agenda, and so I'm looking to ask trustees if there is any item on our consent agenda that you would like removed. Cheryl.
Yes, please. I would like to move item 3.2, Division School Council, to the information items.
Okay, 3.2 will now become 13.2. Any other items? Okay, seeing none, I'm looking for approval of the agenda. Where is Brooke? Is there another item you would like to add to the agenda?
What's the motion again? Oh, yes, I would like to add a memo on the policy review committee.
Thank you, Brooke.
I remember.
That's great. Policy review committee will be 11.7 under action items. Any other items? I'm looking for a motion to approve, please. Craig, those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Approval of the minutes for the board budget debate of May 25th, 2026. We've all had time to review the minutes. I'm looking for a motion to approve. Christina, those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. We're also looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of May 26, 2026. Allison.
I just need to find. I have a question, and I think we just need to go back and add it in on between number 1 and number 2. So it shows that Trustee Whitehead joined the meeting at 1:11. Doesn't show that Trustee Whitehead left. And then at 2:33, Trustee Whitehead joined the meeting. Knowing that there was a motion voted on 6-0 shows to me that Trustee Whitehead was not present for that, but it doesn't show that he left the meeting to come back in. So just wanting some clarification on that.
Okay, we can certainly look back on that and see if we can get a time on that. Thank you, Allison. And then that will be added to the minutes. I'm looking for a motion to approve as amended. Allison, those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. There's no business arriving from the minutes, and I'm going to correct myself. We approved the agenda, and one thing I did want to do, because we have a room full of really incredible people, we are moving them up from 3:30 to now, unless you all wanted to hear a board meeting for an hour, but I'm assuming no. So we are going to start with our ICE scholarship presentation. Trustees Tiffany Hill and Brooke Colley are our board reps for our ICE scholarship, and so I'm going to hand it off to them to present the scholarships.
Thanks, Christina. First of all, I just want to thank everyone who is here today and for your support for all these incredible students. So thank you for being here. We have been truly privileged and honored to be involved in the Innovation, Creativity, and Entrepreneurship Awards scholarships this year. This year marks the 10th anniversary of this remarkable program, during which 108 students have been recognized and a total of $60,000 in scholarship funding have been awarded. We are deeply grateful to our sponsors whose generosity and ongoing support have made these opportunities possible. Their commitment to recognizing and encouraging innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurial spirit in our students has had a lasting impact on the lives of many young people. As a committee, we were truly blown away by the outstanding applications we received this year. The caliber of submissions was exceptional, and narrowing the field required some very difficult decisions. The presentations delivered by our finalists were absolutely incredible and showcased the remarkable talent, passion, and ingenuity of students across our division. Our judging panel consisted of 2 trustees, a former trustee, which was Andrea Chuck, who came back, which was awesome, and 2 community sponsors, each of whom brought valuable perspectives to the selection process. Together, they were inspired by the creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurial spirit demonstrated by every applicant. We are fortunate to have such talented and creative students within our division. Applicants were recognized in 2 categories, grade 9s and 10, and grades 11 and 12. As some projects involve students from multiple grade levels, a few groups represented a combination of grades. So at this time, we'd like to recognize and celebrate the recipients of this year's Innovation, Creativity, and Entrepreneurship Scholarship Awards. All right, so what we'll do is we will start with the grade 9 and 10 winners, and we'll call you up and we'll give you your certificate, and then we'll get a picture with each, either individual or if you're a group, we'll get pictures doing that. So, all right, we'll start with, yeah. So our first winner is Ava Gorick. Congratulations. And she was with Bravery, her cake making business, Bravery's Cakes. I should mention, with this being the 10th anniversary, the scholarship money was increased a little bit this year, which is pretty awesome. All right, our next recipient would be Cynthia Seacrest, and it's with CC's Jewelry. All right, our third winner in the grade 9 to 10 category was Meds Club Care Kits for Cancer Patients, and that's Vanya Patel and Isabel Woodruff. Congratulations. All right, for our grade 11, actually what we'll do now is we'll do the honorable mention for the grade 9 and 10 category, which will be, so Bold Productions. So that's Calvin Kirby, Jax Larson, and Zachary Hallett. All right, we'll move on to the grade 11 and 12 category. And so I'd like to invite up Jazz Blackplume. As you can see by Jazz's attire that she's wearing, she does all the Indigenous beading and beautiful clothing. So she's very talented. All right, our next winner will invite up TJ Dunlop with his recording studio. Okay, so our last group is in the 11 to 12 category, and it's the LCI STEAM Summit. And it's Charlie Allenson, Lucy Johnson, Caitlin Zemp, Lesia Atwood, and Sachi Josanne. Sorry if I don't pronounce your names correctly. Okay, for this category, we have two honorable mentions. The first is Riken Gurr, and he did Hoops for Hope basketball tournament. Okay, and our last group that is being awarded an honorable mention is the LSAT, LCI LSAT team. And that's, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce all the last names, but it's Mideman, Dave, Michelle, and Emmanuel. We'd like to welcome you up. So it's pretty incredible the talent that is in this room. And so I'd just like to recognize them one more time. And again, thanks for everyone who's come to support them. Now what we'll have you do is if all the recipients want to come out to the front of on the stairs, we're going to take a group photo, and then Garrett will be interviewing each of you and doing a little video that you can do a little quick recap of what your project was. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tiffany and Brooke. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, students, sincerest congratulations on your accomplishment. Thank you for sharing your gifts with us. Thank you for just the ways that you bring a uniqueness to our community. And it is always such a highlight to be able to see and hear the incredible projects happening, whether these have been long-standing projects or new to this year. It's always such an encouraging time. So thank you again for being here with us. Thank you, family and friends who have come to support. We know that it's so the importance of championing our kids and supporting them in their endeavors. So thank you for being here. What we will do is we will take about a 3-minute recess from our meeting so that these students and Tiffany and Brooke can go take pictures out front, and then we will reconvene when that is done. Thank you. Do you want that? Yeah. We will have the whole board go outside, so we will just mute, and then there we go. Done. Decided. person. All right, welcome back. That is an incredible way to start a board meeting. So thank you again, Tiffany and Brooke, for leading that committee and just all the work that you did to be able to move that process along and honor those students. All right, so we are now on to number 7, Associate Superintendent Reports. Kyle is joining us online. 7.1, Business and Operations.
Hi, everybody. So as we look to the final report for the year, I don't have a lot of new information to share as, we've been a lot of kind of cleanup mode in planning for next year. But what I thought was important is kind of show the trustees and show the public what some of the projects we are working on, planning over the summer and planning for next year. So you kind of have a sense of what we're going to be doing and to help prepare and resource our schools and our teachers for the next year. So you do have that list in the report. I won't go over that specifically, but I'd be happy to take any questions on that. Again, just another shout out to our Director of Finance, Avis DeKelver, who did receive her Early Achievement Award from CPA Canada at the end of May. She's a valuable piece to our organization, and we're very lucky to have her as part of the team. And just to round up my report, this is coming up my first full year in this role. I do joke with colleagues in and outside the division that my bingo card has filled up fairly quickly this year. It has been an interesting year, but in looking back at it, we've had a lot of challenges. We've had a lot of turbulence. But I would just like to point out, a little message of gratitude that I'm really happy with that. Everybody is part of my team, everybody around the table, everybody across the division, that when we're having these challenges, we're focused on the solutions-based mindset. Sometimes it's hard to get down on these, and I understand there's difficult times, but I really value those as part of my team that in and around the divisions that's focused on that solution-based mindset. And I think that's what makes one of our divisions the best around. So just a message of gratitude as I come up in my first year. So thanks everybody for helping and supporting me around the table, and look forward to next year.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kyle. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, we thank you for your report and extend congratulations again to Avis on her Early Achievement Award. All right, next on our agenda is 7.2, Instructional Services Report. Morag has had to step out from the meeting, so the report is before you. Should there be a need for questions, we can circle back to that later on in the meeting. We will move on now to 7.3, Human Resources. Robbie.
Thank you. A couple of highlights to touch on. HR has been tremendously busy the last couple of months, but that is par for the course with the exciting news of the extra funding that we received for teacher hires. Just as a side note, I have not included our teacher hires for this report. I will include that in this August or September report so that you'll have a more fulsome view of what took place this spring. I do want to speak to when you see the hiring of over 100 support staff, educational assistants. I'd like to point out for our new board members, as well as for our public viewers, that the way that our support staff, specifically educational assistants and advanced educational support, the way that their contracts roll out is they have to be on a 2-year temporary contract before moving into a continuing contract status, which means that every year for that 2 years, they're reapplying to positions that are posted. And in that 3rd year, they're reapplying to a continuing posting. And so annually, you'll see a very large number of positions posted for educational assistants, and that is the reason why their contracts are just much different than a teacher contract might look. So I just wanted to provide some clarity there because that looked like a tremendous number of hires, which it is, and we were very successful with those hires and bringing back those educational assistants that have been with us. I will speak to our staffing currently. The majority of our staffing has been complete, and we do still have a few postings for teachers and support staff that are trickling in at this time, but we are more than confident that we'll be able to fill those positions before school starts in the fall. Congratulations to our retirees, which will probably come up several times throughout the meeting, as well as a huge celebration for our Years of Service Awards. And you'll see the chart, the breakdown of years of service, and those are being celebrated at the schools. That is all I have for my report. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Robbie. Are there questions for Robbie? Cheryl.
Hi, Robbie. Thanks for that. I have 2 questions.
Sure.
And I might be catching you a bit off guard here, but of the 101 educational assistants that you've hired, do you have a rough estimate of how many of those would have been permanent positions versus non?
That is a great question, Cheryl. And I don't want to provide a rough estimate because I could be very wrong.
Okay, then we'll get that later.
I will make a note of that.
Yeah.
So when I provide the full report in the fall about what staffing look like, I'll make sure to include that.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
My second question is about the total number of teachers on the sub list. I know, as you said, we have the benefit of hiring a lot of teachers this year, thanks to the additional funding. Is that impacting the number of teachers on the sub list, and will that number go up? Because it doesn't seem very robust, 151.
Our sub list, as you might predict, is the highest in the South, but we do share some subs with some of our other rural school divisions. It has been fairly consistent, hovering between 140 and about 160 for quite some time, a few years now. I did do a comparison to last year, September and June numbers, and we're right on par. It's exactly the same. Given the number of hires we have made this spring, it could impact that a little bit, but it will be hard to tell because we do more substitute teacher hiring in August. So I won't have those exact numbers until September. Thank you.
Craig.
My question is, reading the CBC and that, especially Edmonton and Calgary, are all complaining about not enough subs, and that they're short of teachers. Is that the same thing in our division, or are we kind of away from that?
I think there's an ebb and flow of sub shortage. If you also do some research and look at the new norms, not specific to Lethbridge School Division, there's also an increase of absences, which require an increase of subs. And so we're kind of balancing the two. And I don't have specific data to say that it's because we have increased that they're lower. Certainly you will hear in May and June that there are a few more shortages, but May and June is a time where people are using more of their leave days in the collective agreement because the weather gets nicer. So May and June chronically and historically have always been a little bit more of a panic when it comes to booking subs. And it does ebb and flow, but we seem to regularly be in a comfortable position where we have enough subs. But we'll see what happens next year. We'll certainly be on the lookout for more recruitment.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Craig.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you, Robbie, for your report.
Thank you.
We will now move on to our superintendent reports, beginning with 8.1, Assurance Priorities Report. Mike.
Yeah, and I'll just hit a few highlights, and then of course, if you have questions, you're more than welcome to ask. Actually, a nice segue from the HR report, because I didn't want to acknowledge the work that our HR team has done this year. It's been significant. We're happy about that because it means we're hiring, so that's been really positive. But it's been a tremendous amount of work, not only for our human resources department, but also for our schools. So we had, for the jobs that we put out at the end of June, early May, we had over 900 applicants. And so schools have to go through, and that's for the teacher positions. Schools have to go through all of those resumes. School-based administrators take a lot of that work on. And then, of course, at the human resources level, they're doing quite a bit to coordinate all that process. So really appreciate it. We've done a lot of work with hiring complexity teams very quickly this year and hiring teachers here this year. So really grateful for that, and just grateful to have the opportunity to be doing that hiring. That's probably the most important part of the equation. Under assessment, there's a whole bunch of examples of assessments that are going on right now. And I just wanted to point out to you that when you get into May into June, assessment is a key theme. There are a bunch of wrap-up assessments, so you'll see that some students are getting literacy and numeracy assessments done. You'll see that intakes continue. You know that there's diploma exams and PATs, and then course final exams and all those sorts of things. So a lot of assessment happening. Under Indigenous Student Achievement, had a great celebration at the Indigenous Achievement Awards, and just an incredible turnout at Wilson. So it was great to see, and great to see so many students being honored. You'll see that the EAL team continues to work, continues to do intakes, even though we're almost at the end of the year. The intakes really are a 12-month-a-year process, and there's a lot of work that's done in August for that as well to support newcomer families. You'll see a lot of stuff about curriculum development here. You're going to hear that over the next couple of years, because that's going to be a big theme in education, because there's a lot of curriculum change going on, and there has been. So a lot of work from the Ed Center, and a lot of great work that our teachers are doing to create resources so their colleagues have good resources to use when they're implementing new curriculum. So really appreciate that. And then getting towards the end, where it talks about successful early start for students, it talks about elementary schools hosting welcome to kindergarten events. And that's a really good reminder, very consistent with the feedback that we heard from town hall, that those types of events where kids can get in and families can get in and get to know the staff and get to know the schools really makes a big difference. And our schools have been very, very intentional about that. I was at a school this morning and saw a really good example of it. There was 2 grade 5 classes across the hall from each other. And of course, they're going to middle school next year, where you are moving classes more regularly. So they were changing classes, and they had to do it orderly, and things were timed, so they knew how long it took them to get settled in and that. And just a great example of the type of transition work that occurs to help make those transitions a little easier for our kids. So when we talk about hearing things at town hall, do we see them in practice? I saw those today, and you see them here in the report. So yeah, I was going to move on unless there's any questions. I'll just keep rolling, and I'll assume that you'll raise your hand and stop me if you do have questions. Donations and support, one of my favorite parts of this. We're just so incredibly grateful for the support that we get from Lethbridge Iron and Wild Brothers, some support that they provided for Dr. Plaxton, and you can see the impact that has. You can see that in the ICE scholarships that we give out, because a big part of that is that's only made possible through the support that we get for the community. So just really, really fortunate here in Lethbridge how much businesses and our stakeholders support us that way, and it makes a huge difference for our kids, for sure. Okay, and then we'll go into acknowledgements of excellence, and always a good opportunity to showcase all the wonderful things that happen at our schools. I won't hit everything, but I'll hit a few of the high points on Fleetwood Bodden. I know you got to learn a little bit about their Montessori program last month when they came and presented. And so just a few things, starting with student learning and instructional excellence, literacy focus. And I really appreciated the emphasis on the importance of having good texts. We have to have, if we're going to get kids excited and passionate about reading, we have to have things that they're interested in that catch their attention. And so you have to have a robust collection at all times, and you have to be constantly adding to it, because as you know, the tastes and interest of kids change, and you have to really try and be able to adapt with that. So you can see that in there. You see next about inclusion, and Fleetwood was nominated and was chosen as a Betty Grigg Inclusive Education Award recipient this year. So just really proud of their work, and no surprise, because they very much have an inclusive mindset and just do fabulous work there. And then you'll see a lot of talk in here about community connections, community engagement, which is really a theme in all of our schools, is how do we connect with the community. And again, you'll see where they talk about being more intentional about how we share learning from classroom what's happening in the classrooms. That's another example of feedback from town hall, where there was a real desire for parents and stakeholders to know how students were doing in terms of learning. So there's another great example of that. So really appreciate the work that they're doing at Fleetwood. And I know you've read through and you'll see all the wonderful things and programs that they have. And then Westminster Elementary School, again, starting off right away talking about learning and talking about hands-on learning. And there's a bunch of great examples with growing potatoes, hatching chickens, learning to code, designing projects using a 3D printer. Those are great examples of really getting your hands on the learning experience. And you can see the pictures up there that, certainly speak better than my words, but I really appreciate that. And then, of course, to talk about student leadership, that's something that's really important in our schools. And I know particularly in elementary schools, when those kids get into grade 4 and grade 5, there is a lot of emphasis on leadership. There's emphasis at all levels, but you especially see that really starting to develop and grow at those grade 4 and 5 levels. And then, you can see through the nutrition grant how they've been able to expand their breakfast program. And I know Westminster is another example of a school that gets a lot of support from the community, obviously support from these grants so they can support kids and help feed them and all those sorts of things. So yeah, great work going on at our schools as always, and lots of awesome programs and things that kids are doing, and always enjoy showcasing the great work that they do. Now we'll go to the LH Bussard Award winners. So we have a lot of awards that we're giving out this time of year, which is absolutely awesome to recognize all the good work that our students do. And this presentation is a presentation that happens annually. It's a medal that goes to an upper elementary student that shows exceptional creative ability. So I won't read the whole thing, but it talks about the medal in here and the importance of it. And, just really excited that, this is an award for students that have demonstrated outstanding ability, imagination, and originality in the areas of music, art, drama, language arts, and physical education. So congratulations to those students. Very, very happy for them, very proud of them. And what a great way to honor their achievements. We have the ICE scholarships today. We have these awards, just a lot of things going on to recognize our kids. Okay, and then we'll flip over to administrative appointments. You're aware of those appointments, but we just like to wrap it up at the end of the year for you. And then we've got calendar of events. It's exciting to see the end of the year, but I kind of go, I'm not ready to think about next year yet. Give me a little time to wrap up this year. But we are at that point where I already start to think about what's happening for next year. So as always, for our trustees, if there's anything that's missing or any changes, you do a great job of cueing us into that. So if you have any changes, please let us know. We're happy to make them.
Thank you so much, Mike. Is there anything else that needs to be added? Please, to June 25th. Anything else? June 25th. All right, seeing none, thank you, Mike, for your reports. We will now move on to 9 board chair reports, beginning with 9.1, retirement congratulations. We can see here in the agenda, we have many people who have served our division community well, who have chosen to step into retirement. And so on behalf of the board, we would just like to extend sincerest thank you and congratulations to you for achieving this season, and we just thank you for the ways that you have used your gifts to support students and support our division community, and we wish you all the best as you step into your retirement. All right, 9.2, standing committees. The Board of Trustees Standing Committee chairs are asked annually to provide a report in terms of reference review at the public meeting of the board on September 22nd, 2026. And so the list of our board standing committees are there. Yes, they are there. And should you need to see a framework of an annual report, you can find that the link is embedded there within the memo. Are there any questions? All right. Seeing none, we move on to 9.3, ASBA SGM 2026. So public, Catholic, and Francophone member school boards came together for the business day of ASBA SGM on June 1st. During the event, members passed the following position statement, which was brought forward by Lethbridge School Division. And this position statement helps guide provincial advocacy, and it is before you, but I will read it out loud. Supporting children's right to access fully funded K-12 public education in Alberta. Be it resolved that ASBA advocate to the Government of Alberta that all school-aged individuals who are ordinarily resident in Alberta be eligible to receive fully funded K-12 education in Alberta's public, separate, and Francophone school boards, recognizing children's right to education as described in the Convention on the Rights of a Child. The presentation was put together by Trustee Christina Larkin. So Christina, thank you for your work on this project, and I will open this up for further discussion. Would you like to speak, Christina?
Yeah, I just want to thank the trustees for their support in preparing the motion, as well as discussing with other boards as we developed the presentation and prepared to vote at it at ASBA. I think it signals the leadership of the division in our belief in the rights of children, the rights of children to education, and that we believe that all children belong in school. So thank you all for your work.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments? Brooke?
Yeah, I've been at a few of these meetings, and this one was exceptionally gratifying, being in that room with my fellow trustees and the work we did in that room. And I think we're positioned as a medium board in the province to affect a lot of advocacy positions of a lot of boards in that room. And I was very proud to be there and representing Lethbridge Public.
Thank you, Brooke. Any other comments? All right, seeing none, we will move forward to number 10, presentations. I see Sean Ulrich is in the room with us. So Sean, I will invite you up to the front. So in an effort to more deeply understand the programs available within Lethbridge School Division, motion was passed in January 2026 to have distinctive program presentations brought to the board and placed on our agenda. And so this month we welcome Sean Ulrich, who's the principal of Lethbridge Christian School, to present on their Christian education program. So Sean, I will hand it over to you. Welcome. Push the back first, and then push the top. No, you don't need to. There we go. All right.
Okay, they're perfect. Thanks, Kristen. Thank you, Christine, for the introduction. As Christine said, I'm principal at Lethbridge Christian School. I've been there about 7 years now, and so I've got a chance to know the community and know how it works. And it's my pleasure to come before you today and just talk about how we work within Lethbridge School Division and just how great the opportunity is, I think, for everybody that's involved, and how well the partnership is working, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, if we can just we can go ahead to the next slide there. So first of all, I think it's important to acknowledge that we are a bit of a distinct community and that we have our parts that set ourselves apart from other communities, just like every school has, and every school community is proud of what it's doing. And yet it's not separate from the division. It's aligned with the division policies. It's aligned with the division initiatives. And it's just a great way to give families choice in terms of what perspective they're learning from. So to give you some idea, I have some numbers there. We're about 200 students from about 130 families that choose to come to our program. And that's from many, many different church community connections. I actually don't have that information directly, and I'll talk a little bit about more why that's the case, why we don't follow that so closely. But everybody that sends their child there knows that they're going to learn from a Christian perspective, a biblical perspective. And if people have questions at any time as well, I'll do my best to look around. But if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me as well. Okay, thank you. Can we go to the next one, please? So part of what I thought was, what's enabled? What is Lethbridge Christian School allow Lethbridge School Division to do? How does this work together? And really, it's about family choice, is what I think it is. Families can choose to pick something that maybe aligns a little bit closer with their vision, while remaining part of the public education system and receiving that strong education that every student in Lethbridge School Division receives. They have the integrated Christian perspective in all things. They have shared language culture that helps us to build ties with home and with other community organizations. That just helps us tie in that piece so that we're not just on our own, but that we're connected to other people. And I just thought I'd throw in some of these. I know you see them in the assurance plans and all those kind of things. You see these metrics, but I think it's important to say that just like other schools in Lethbridge School Division, we also are a healthy community where the quality of education and other metrics are higher than provincial average, which is great, which is a place where we'd strive to be when it's a school of choice, when not everybody, right, it's not just the catchment people, it's the ones that choose to be there, and that does change the level of engagement at times. But I think it's important to say nonetheless. So this is some of the numbers, and then the numbers are one thing that we see all the time, but I wanted to include some anecdotes. And so in the next slide, we have some anecdotes. I just asked parents in preparation for this presentation. I said, so what do you want? What would you want? What would you want to say about our community? So seeing each student as a gift, which I know that's something very valuable to me. Right, they know their children by name, they know their parents by name. Being a fairly small community allows us to do that, but also making sure people feel important when they're part of that community. And we do that for not just the members of our community, but the visitors too when they come in. We seek to treat them with respect. And then I really like that last quote there from a parent. I was talking to them afterwards. Just not simply seen for their struggles. It's so easy to reduce a student to complexities that they might have, or struggles they might have, or even successes they have, but they're a person. And so because they're a person, they are valuable, and their character is valuable, and their personhood is valuable to our community. And that's what parents are recognizing, and we're striving to do that all the time. One of the things when just talking about community is also very important. And so I wanted to highlight some of the ways that we reach out to local community, but also to the Christian faith community that surround us. I know we've had the pleasure a couple of years in a row of inviting our trustee liaison out to our family nights. We've had family literacy nights, family numeracy nights, family faith nights. And they're always exciting, and we can invite different people from the school division, but also from other communities that we're attached to. And so we're trying to connect these various communities into our own in ways that fit, that are natural, that are organic, and ways that serve our community well. We also have chapels that we have. These pieces of our everyday life that become the wallpaper, so to speak, is the way one author described it. It's the things that the kids are seeing all the time that's sinking into who they are, a reminder of some of the culture that families value about Lethbridge Christian School. And so those things are important too. I know one piece, it's been a topic of discussion even just around school fees, but we also have the alternative programming fees at Lethbridge Christian School. And I know that like this is where it gets a little bit dicey because, right, Christina, I'm hearing the voice of like education for all. The best place for all students is in the classroom. And I agree with you 100%. In order to offer the alternative program, there are some fees that are necessary, and that's worked out in the agreement with Lethbridge School Division. We appreciate it. Something I've noticed with the Lethbridge Christian School Society, so that works parallel to the school, right? That and helps hold is responsible for the building, the buses, and the Bible program. Essentially, two of the things that I wanted to highlight. One is the fee assistance fund, and so they've actually have a systemic way that they help families that maybe money is an issue of being able to make that commitment. And so they regularly have a budget of $10,000. They have rules around it that help guideline accessibility, balance accessibility with stewardship. Because if they paid for everybody, they wouldn't have enough money to be able to redo the building and some of the capital funding that they don't receive, paying down mortgages, those kind of things. And so it's this balance of trying to make sure that it's sustainable and yet also affordable. So that's something I've really appreciated. So that's one piece is a very well worked out plan. Secondarily, they also have an emergency needs fund that they fundraise for, and they've set that aside for just emergency needs. I know we've had a couple really tragic accidents in the last couple of years in our community, and it was so kind when the LCS Society board could say, that's one thing you don't need to worry about. Let's take care of the alternative programming fees and just walk alongside you with whatever you're walking through. And so I thought that was really important for me to highlight in today's presentation. There are some costs. Yes, it does become prohibitive, but there are ways that they're looking to mitigate it. So I appreciate that about the society that I work with. And then finally, just coming back to this idea that we do have our distinct identity, that we have a community that pulls in a very strong direction. I believe it was one of the interesting pieces to me. I remember back to everyone's favorite time back in COVID and coming out of it and trying to figure out what does school look like, and how do we get back, or how do we take the next step forward. And I remember my school community just being so passionate about let's gather together for chapels, because that was a part where they saw each other in a different way than they saw each other on the playground or on the bus or in other areas. And so it was just one of those pieces that we prioritized about, okay, how are we going to plan this appropriately? But I think it contributes to that distinct identity and really served our families well, and was a reflection of what they value. And through all of this, we acknowledge and we're grateful that we're a part of Lethbridge School Division, that we have resources to top-notch experts, that we can engage with peers that are well educated, and we also believe that we have a lot of expertise that we offer as well to the community. When I look at myself, I've sat on a number of boards and committees, but my teachers have done the same, and I believe they've done excellent work when I've talked to people here. And so it's just a pleasure, and I think it works well together, and that it offers a different program from Lethbridge School Division, and yet a distinct program that allows people to rally around and be proud that they're a part of that. And for the community in general, that we strive to reach out. One of the things I included in there was the grade ones bringing cards. It's something I actually had a conversation. I had a gentleman from the community stop by with a box of chocolates because he was just overwhelmed. He's like, just thank you so much for acknowledging me, for knowing that I'm here, and made his month, I think, honestly. And it's just a small acts that mean something. So thanks for letting me share. Are there any questions or?
Thank you so much, Sean,
Yeah.
for sharing about your school community. Craig, I saw your hand, so you're good. Go ahead.
Sean, could you just maybe explain open enrollment?
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you. So open enrollment, that is a big piece of Lethbridge Christian School as well, in that the enrollment policy says that anyone who wants to, as long as they're willing to, there's the payment of the fees that come along with it and the commitment there. But anyone who wants to can send their child to Lethbridge Christian School. By doing so, they understand that they'll receive instruction, that they'll receive correction, that all the pieces will be done from a biblical perspective. But there is no prerequisite of church attendance or of any level of Christian involvement in their life. But they just understand that they'll learn everything from that perspective. There is a different level in terms of membership and trying to keep the vision mission of the Lethbridge Christian School Society, trying to maintain that and keep the historical direction that I believe has served them well. But to send your children, anyone can go there. Thank you, Craig, for asking that. I meant to elaborate more.
Cheryl.
Thanks. Thank you for your presentation. I have two questions. When you started, you said you don't track the different denominations of folks that come to your school. And so, because I'm interested in statistics, I'm wondering if you could further elaborate on why that doesn't happen. And when you talk about your society, but there is a requirement to have a particular, I'm going to say, denominational base or Christian faith, where does that fall out?
Okay. Yeah, no, great. So the piece about not tracking actually comes from the open enrollment piece, in that I'm not following up on anybody to see where they're going to church or if they're going to church on Sundays or any other day of the week for that matter. And so it's just a piece of data that we could collect and track if there was a good reason to use it. up until now, I don't know if we have. It's something that could be considered, I guess, but we just haven't had a need for that data, and so we haven't collected it for any reason. And then piece number 2, sorry, the society piece. Thank you, Cheryl. So the society, they have a statement of beliefs, just like any right. So any society, any nonprofit society would have a constitution and bylaws and artifacts. So they have theirs. Part of that is the statement of belief that they have, and it's interdenominational. It's not from any one particular church. I know that the board members are represented by there's some pieces in there in the history of Lethbridge Christian School. For those of you that have been around Lethbridge for a long time, there are some carryovers yet that talk about. You can see there was definitely 2 distinct churches in '93 that joined to make Lethbridge Christian School, and then joined the division later on in 2001. But those are almost water under the bridge at this point. That they were a long time ago. So they would be what I would call broad strokes Protestant Christian beliefs that are held widely by Christian families. And whenever I've had conversations with parents, I've had some parents just ask, and I said, yeah, I'm more than open of what they are and what we try to uphold, because it's what we enact as the Christian programming, right? That's what guides us. That's what guides me in terms of putting up barricades. But we're not delving into specific either church politics or church doctrines that are so nitpicky that would pull us apart. More general Christian story and theme. Yeah, thanks.
Brooke, and then Christina.
I just want to say thank you for your presentation and acknowledge the wisdom of the society back when they did join Lethbridge Public, because I believe we're a community first, and anybody that wants to be in that community is more than welcome in my books, and I really appreciate what Lethbridge Christian does. Thank you.
Thanks, Brooke.
I was basically going to echo Brooke, that I'm just grateful that there's opportunities for choice for families within public education. And I really appreciate the opportunity to hear from so many programs in the last few meetings, and to know that within the broad umbrella of public education, that families can find the education that's right for their child. And grateful for the work, and thank you so much for the presentation.
Craig.
Since I'm the liaison to the school this year, I'd like to thank the Lethbridge Christian for the welcoming that they gave us, to me and Robbie. And I was really, the service and the things that you do. I remember one teacher had a husband that had a heart attack or so, and the society was taking care of her to make sure that not only the school board takes care of her, but they took care of her. And the only thing I have to say is, next time make Robbie read the story after me, because it was hard to keep that audience. But I really appreciate the invitation to come in there. And I was really impressed with the literacy night, because there wasn't just the kids from the school or the parents, community people were there. Thank you.
Christina.
I also wanted to mention, I'm wondering if our board might also wish to offer some thanks, maybe a letter or something to the society, because I think that's something that you've pointed out that's so meaningful, is that there's a parallel board of governors who are contributing significantly to public education in our division, and that might be just a good faith reach out on behalf of the board to another board.
I think that's an excellent idea, and we were thrilled to have your society members attended our community conversations last week. So it was great to be able to connect with them there. So yes, thank you for that, Christina. Any other questions? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Sean, for joining us today. Thank you for your leadership within our division in your school. And I echo Brooke in that I think it was a really positive path forward for your school community joining Lethbridge School Division. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to share. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great summer. All right, we are ahead of schedule. So the next item on our agenda is 11.1, international trip approval for LCI. So we will move over, and then when Sam is with us, we will come back to this agenda item. So now we will move on to 11.2, superintendent formative evaluation. The memo is before you. This has been the year for the formative evaluation of Superintendent Mike Nightingale. And so we are at, the June approval. So I would like to move that the board move to accept and approve the superintendent formative evaluation report as per policy 301.3, evaluation process for the superintendent, acknowledging this report to be an accurate accounting of the superintendent's performance for the period of July 1st, 2025 to June 2026, and further that the board authorize the chair to sign the report on the board's behalf. Are there any questions? Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. And on behalf of the board, I just want to express our gratitude, Mike, for the leadership that you give our division. Thank you. All right, we move forward to 11.3, policy process. Cheryl.
Okay, thank you. This memorandum is to help provide some clarity and put some fences and some guidelines around the approval of some policy that we have been doing and will continue to do into the future. So what I would like to do is recommend that some of the policies that we have been working on, such as 1001.3, 1002.4, and later today we'll see 1003.3, because those are active. Those are the ones that are focused on in this memorandum, but it does not exclude a blanket application of future policy. But I wanted to drill down into, kind of the active work that is being done right now. So as part of the flow of how this would work, it would this says that those policies would be posted on the division website once each policy has passed third reading and the superintendent or the designate has finalized the supporting administrative procedures. And further, it is recommended that the superintendent would then notify the board of when they have been posted on the division website, just to close the loop there, including confirmation that the procedures are in place. So just a bit clear on how it moves from being developed to being in action. So I would like to move that.
Okay, thank you very much. I will open it up for discussion. Christina.
Thanks, Cheryl, and to the team. I appreciate the clarity and support it. I'm curious about, do any of these require a withdrawal of existing policy? I'm trying to remember if any of these are amalgamations, and should that be captured here as well?
I think that is captured when we approve each of the policies, but it doesn't hurt to have it duplicated.
Yeah, so my friendly amendment then would just be to say recommended, where are we? What if, while they're being posted, so once they've passed third reading and they've finalized supporting administrative procedures, that they are then posted online and the corresponding inactive policies therefore be removed.
As part of the second paragraph?
Part of the first paragraph, and then therefore the superintendent would then notify the board that they've been posted and subsequent or previous ones removed.
Okay. I want to capture
whatever the right words are.
So be posted on the division website. And then what did you state after that?
Be posted on the division website once each policy has passed third reading and superintendent designate has finalized the supporting administrative procedures. What's the language here? And yeah.
And corresponding inactive policies be removed. Okay.
Sure.
Allison.
I would like to offer different friendly amendment. And I think that Cheryl has note of which policies would be needing to come off. So I think to provide clarity, so after after the first paragraph, to add a sentence there, and that policies blah 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 be removed, and the policies that are going to be removed. So I would rather have it clearly stated rather than policies that are inactive. And I know that there's been some conversation of whether where this one's going, or we still need to capture this somewhere else. So I think just making it clear that these ones will be removed, because I think this is to provide clarity. And I think being clear of what ones are removed, and then we still will have whatever's left as we go along, we'll know what's left. But I think just that clarity.
Sure. I'm okay with that. Are you okay if I do that work after and provide the information? Because I would have to go back on each of these, and because we've taken 14 and made 3. So I want to make sure that I've got the numbering correct. Is it okay if I add that later? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Do you have something to say?
Suggestion on that, but you guys.
Okay, we'll finish, then we'll come. Okay, Craig, Brooke, was your hand up? Sorry, okay. Craig.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out if this is just a general policy procedure or a process, because if it is, then every time we create a new policy, we would have to pass this motion again. And so my concern is we want to make it so that it doesn't have to be changed all the time when we make new policies, but somewhere maybe that's a procedure that the policies that are policies that are deleted will be listed somewhere else. But if you're going to put all those policies in here, then it kind of, and I guess I would just say we could take out these policies that we've got listed here and just make a policy process. That would be my recommendation. And I'm open to suggestions on that.
I will let Cheryl respond.
Yes, thank you. We did have a conversation about that, and it is very possible, and it was actually suggested that perhaps it should be more generic, but I argued that because this is our first movement in this direction, we wanted, or I preferred, that it was very specific. So yes, in the future, Craig, I would suggest that a motion is put forward that is more all-encompassing so that we are not doing this every time. But for this particular round, I wanted to tie it up a bit nicer, and that's why I chose to make it more specific. But it certainly doesn't need to be.
My question for Allison's amendment, is it possible to have within the motion that the listed policies to be removed be put in the background rather than in the motion? Because then we're trying to pass a motion where we don't have all the information within the motion. That's my concern that we're doing that process-wise.
And I know that there might be a desire to pass this today, but I would suggest, knowing that one of them hasn't even gone through first reading, we for sure still have to do second and third, that potentially this gets tabled and that it's listed specific. I just think governance-wise to have it very specifically outlined what policies this is, the new numbers as well as the numbers that are being removed. When you look back in minutes, you don't have the background information. So this is just a way of tracking that, and it's very clear when it's actually in a motion. So I don't know if there's a willingness to table it to September. I know that there's certainly a desire to move through this, but knowing that this wouldn't be enacted anyways until after our next meeting. So
thank you, Allison. Kyle, I see your hand.
Yeah, that was going to kind of be my question, how we wanted to word that for the motion. If we don't have the complete information today, a suggestion for the board to consider would be to proceed with Christina's friendly amendment. And then what we could do is add the motions that are going to be removed as commentary to the minutes and outside of the portion of the actual motion, but to still capture them in the minutes. That way you're not actually voting on them as part of the motion, but they're still in the minutes. So just a consideration for the board.
So to clarify, you're just a little garbled, so I just want to clarify that I can hear you, Kyle. That your suggestion is to move forward with the friendly amendments and then post-meeting, we add the information. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, it would be if we proceed with the motion, as Christina has the friendly recommendation. That way you're voting on that motion and we're not adding something to the motion after. We could look at adding the items that we're removing, we could add them as commentary to the minutes. So they're in the minutes, but outside of the actual motion you're voting on. Sorry if I'm still gargly, but.
So just to ensure clear communication and understanding, can we have you type that in? I think it's just really important that we get this clear. I got the thumbs up, so I'm assuming he's just starting his typing. While Kyle is entering his question or his recommendation, are there any other comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll just wait.
Yeah, I think obviously Kyle will type in when he can. I think he was saying we could have we can put it in the notes or in the minutes as an additional bit of information.
Okay, the notes say we can vote on the motion as I'm reading Kyle's words. Can we vote on the motion as Christina has a friendly amendment and then add the policies removed as commentary in the minutes? That way it is outside of the motion you are voting on, but included in the minutes. Thank you.
I see what I understand what Kyle, I understand what you're saying, even if there's questions here. Another potential option, just to give options, is it could be part of the notification process as well. That's another way to potentially, and it could be brought back to a formal board meeting. That's part of the notification process. Here's the policies that were amalgamated. Here's what they became. Because you're right, numbering could change in this too. Like numbering becomes a little fluid. And I would agree it's important that we have a record of here's the policies that we rescinded. Here's the policies that we brought into place. Here's the administrative procedures, all of that. Yeah.
Thank you. And I agree that we do need to have a written record so we can go back to this. Okay. Cheryl.
I have those numbers now, if you want them. Okay. As part of the record in the minutes, I would like to say that policy 1001.3 amalgamated elements from 1001.3 and 1003.1. And that 1002.4 was an amalgamation of policy 1002.4 and 1002.5. And that 1003.3 combined elements of policy 1003.4, 1003.5, and 1003.3. This is where I'm grateful for my very large binder that you all mock me for.
I was looking through a document to find them, but I don't have them perfectly. And I was like, I better not chime in. So.
All right. Thank you very much. So a friendly amendment is before us. Any further discussion? And I know Allison had presented the idea of the tabling. And so I am looking for further discussion. Christina.
Given that the motion suggests that it's only actionable once the policy has passed third reading, or each policy has passed third reading, I would be in favor of continuing now to offer the clarity. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Allison.
You stated that Christina had a friendly amendment. Can you just let us know what that amendment is then?
Sorry, it was that the corresponding inactive policies be removed. That was the friendly amendment to the first paragraph following the final sentence. And then the policies noted were where it will be in the minutes, noted in the minutes.
I would want to see them in the motion because that's what we vote on is the motion. So
As a consolation, they are part of the policy that's approved. Like they do come up. This isn't the only time that gets stated.
Allison.
I know that they're stated, but they're not voted on. So as a governor, I would like to vote on what's being removed.
Looking for further conversation. Christina.
And sorry, so at the moment, we don't have the list of specific ones that would need to be removed, or we just have them? Yeah. Yeah, so can we just add those as are you comfortable at just adding the list? Yeah.
I think if that helps us find success today in moving this forward, we can add that to the motion. So let us we'll add following corresponding inactive policies to be removed, : that's at the end of the first paragraph, and then we will list the policies that were just mentioned. That's how we can embed that in the motion. Any further discussion? Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Now we move on to, actually we have guests in the room. I'm going to move back unless you want to hear about policies. Okay. Don't say I've never given you a choice. So that's great. Okay, we're going to move back to 11.1, international trip approval, LCI. So we'll let you, Sam, we'll let you get set up and then you can take it away. Sam, if I can get you to please turn your mic on. Oh yeah, Brooke, if you want to just help out there. Back button and then the top button.
Check. All right. Okay. The Lethbridge Collegiate Institute Gold Symphonic Band wishes to travel internationally to Costa Rica. The dates would be from departing here technically in the evening on Wednesday, February 10th, but the flight out of Calgary to Toronto and then Toronto to Liberia, Costa Rica would commence at 12:15 a.m. on Thursday, February 11th. With a direct flight back from Liberia, Costa Rica to Calgary on Wednesday, February 17th. We wish to just go on a cultural, educational performance tour of mainly two central locations, two locations in Costa Rica. Currently, our travel agent in Costa Rica from anywhere.com is working on venues for performance in Tamarindo. And then we have pretty much secured two locations in Liberia to perform. One's at a museum. It's organized through the House of Culture, which is a cultural organization. And then the other one, we received quite enthusiastic response from the principal at the Colegio Santa Ana, which is a secondary school in Liberia in and of itself. They had a school from the United States perform there previously, and so when we called them up, she was more than thrilled to have us. So in interspersed with that would of course be sightseeing and just exploring of the local area in Costa Rica, mainly around Tamarindo and also around Liberia, those two main areas. Full disclosure, there is the government of Canada does have a travel advisory. It's a yellow travel advisory. It's mainly centered around crime. And on their advisory, they list all the locations in which there is higher crime. I specifically planned this trip to avoid all those areas, so we do not travel. We're not even in the locations of anywhere close to any of those areas. So I did create a mitigation plan. I believe most of the issues will be resolved by avoiding those areas entirely. Yeah. Any questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Craig. And then Christina.
What grades are you planning on taking?
Primarily 9 through 12. 9 through 12 will be open. It'll mainly be 10, 11, 12 because it's the high school, the symphonic band, which is like 90% 10, 11, 12s.
Okay.
Christina.
Hi, thanks so much for presenting. Always big fan of travel and big fan of your band. So I'm just looking for a bit of clarification. I've just never heard of anywhere.com or a travel agency. Can you tell me more about it?
In finding travel agencies to help us plan this, I just found anywhere.com through a regular internet search, submitted a request for travel arrangements, and they came back with a very good proposal with accommodations and with transportation. And they so the agent that I'm working with, Harold, he lives in Costa Rica. So I think anywhere.com is global, but the agents in which coordinate the travel within wherever location are actually residents of that country. Their rates were cheaper than anywhere else, and so so we just decided on them.
Sorry, I had one more question. And this may still be developing, but there appears to be a lot of free time, which I think sometimes in the bigger trips we see like much less free time as sort of one of those other mitigation factors. Are those free sections going to be filled in with like planned excursions and things like that?
Yeah.
To reduce the.
Yeah, we don't have anything currently arranged yet, just pending this approval. But we do plan to have most of the moments filled. We have transportation dedicated to us from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day. We plan on utilizing that. So yeah, the itinerary doesn't have all of our excursions or activities planned in it.
Any other questions? Cheryl.
I really appreciate the fact that you have a mitigation plan. I'm also wondering, because it's a yellow zone and you know how things can shift, does part of that plan include that if you get close to the end and you make a decision to abort, would parents and students be able to get any of their money back?
Yeah. We have two different agencies that we're working with. AMA is arranging all of our flights, and anywhere.com is our ground-based agency in Costa Rica. I am requiring coverage, cancellation insurance built into this for everyone, and that'll be provided through AMA, easily provided, which is really great. So yeah, we've covered that.
Craig.
So just looking at that, you're hoping to do 4 performances?
Yes.
2 in the one town and
2 in Tamarindo and 2 in Liberia. Yes.
Okay. And About how long would each of those performances be?
Ideally, I would love to have a program about 45 minutes.
Okay.
It all depends on our band preparation. It would be at least 30 minutes, hopefully 45, maybe even longer, depending on our preparation beforehand.
Okay, and part of your fees and that is covering the equipment going with you?
Yes, yeah, and that's something that we're gonna figure out. Yeah, usually, well, in the package for this, when we travel on by air, I require that all the students have carry-on size luggage, and then the students who have an additional instrument, depending on the size of that, that'll be either check-in or carry-on. And then the students who have a smaller instrument, they usually take on all the additional equipment. So between everyone, most students have their own carry-on luggage and an additional piece of equipment that is attached to them that they'll be checking in or carrying on, depending on the size of that.
Thank you. I am looking for a motion. Brooke.
I recommend that the Lethbridge Collegiate Institute trip to Costa Rica in February of 2027 be approved by the board on the condition that all division policies and procedures are strictly followed, and with the understanding that future travel advisories and/or vaccination requirements may affect the trip's ability to proceed.
Thank you, Brooke. Kyle, I see your hand.
Yeah, I just had a comment I put in the chat if you can't hear me.
There is a note that the revenues and expenses will be transacted by a third-party society. Can we confirm this will not happen anymore, ensuring everything will run through the division and division policies?
Yes. So minutes ago, I actually just sent an email to you guys, and with the proposal. Actually, let me just read it. So originally in this and in the email sent to parents that are band parents, which my wonderful band parent president Kaz Levitt is here. They were collecting deposits for the trip. And I understand that that is not school policy. So the solution that I have to rectify this is to have the band parents transfer the funds that we have so far collected to the school, to LCI, and have them placed in the individual student accounts. I do just want to clarify, in the past, we've had payments go directly to the travel agencies. And I just want to clarify that that is allowable in this case as well.
I think that's a conversation you and I can have after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then from here on, everything will be collected through School Cash Online.
Excellent. Thank you. Morag.
One piece as well, I'm sure you've got it already, Sam, because you've done this a million times, but a certificate of insurance, given this is a new company, we should be having that in place.
Okay.
That would be important too. One last piece that I'd like to just raise is just the chaperone ratio of 45-10. Typically we're 1-8 or 1-10. That's an incredibly high ratio. And I'm just wondering if that impacts the cost for the students who are going to be going, because we're going above and beyond the ratio.
So with international travel like this, the chaperones are not, their fee is not subsidized at all. So they have the same rate as all the students.
Thank you. I appreciate that information. Any other discussion? Okay, the motion is on the table. Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Sam, for your work. And
Thank you so much.
we hope it's a great trip.
Thank you.
All right, we are now moving forward to 11.4, policy 1003.3, first reading. Cheryl.
This is the third and final policy that encapsulates the 1000 section. And it has been reviewed, revised, put out for public feedback, and then further revisions have been incorporated. Because this came at the end of the year for PAC, PAC did agree on the final policy that went out for public feedback. And at a PAC meeting, it was determined that the public feedback would come and Tiffany and I would review any of it, make any adjustments. We, Tiffany and I and Allison have met to talk about some of those adjustments. And they were made in the policy that you are seeing attached. And my recommendation and my move is that it is recommended that the board review the policy 1003.3 external participation in schools, and that it is voted on for first reading.
Okay, thank you very much. We all have the policy, and I will open it up for discussion. Allison.
Can you just clarify what you said in regards to the PAC did approve it prior to it coming forward, and had they seen the public feedback, or typically you hadn't done that anyway?
Right. No, the PAC was advised. Like, we talked about what would happen next because it's the end of the year. And in April, we started moving towards the fact that our last PAC meeting would be in May. So, or maybe that was March. But anyway, our last PAC meeting was in May. And this public feedback request went out with a deadline of May 25th, I believe it was, which was after that meeting. We knew that that would happen. And so that information was put to the PAC committee that when the public feedback was received, unless there was some jarring or very significant opposition or changes required, that Tiffany and I would look at that and consider that and then go forward. And that's what we're doing.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Allison, do you have a follow-up?
I do. Just can you tell us where we're at with, did the consultant review the recommendations?
Yes, I had sent this to the consultant for review, and I just received an email response from him this morning, late this morning, and his response was, I'll just read it because I happen to have it right here in my binder. I've reviewed policies, policy 1003.3, and do not see any areas that need revision. As we understand, there may be revisions necessary to some of the wording regarding parents' rights now that the timelines have been announced for Bill 25 in a bulletin to the superintendent.
Thank you. I'll allow one more follow-up from Allison, and then we'll go to Tiffany.
Thank you. Just in the bottom section, I know when you, me, and Tiffany met, all we did was review the piece that the PAC had looked at, and the bottom piece wasn't there in regards to the references. So just a couple of questions out of query. So FOIP has been replaced and now has the protection of the POPA, Protection of Privacy Act, as well as there's another one. Pardon? Yep. The other one is Access to Information Act. And then in addition to that is the 1002.4 parent guardians. I think it was called parent guardians responsibilities and school councils, not just parent guardian. It's 1002.4 in the references.
Yeah, because we approved that one earlier with the name change.
Yeah. So the name is not what I am viewing on the reference piece, is that the name is not accurate from what we approved. We approved parents, guardians, responsibilities, and school councils. And this says parents, guardians, and school councils.
Okay, and that would have to be checked Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, there is a note that says that this has to be, the references have to be confirmed because as you know, we're taking things out and editing things and moving things around and the laws are changing. So by the time this gets to the point where it's up on for posted to the website for implementation, we all know that these things are all going to look very different. But the process, in order for the process to move ahead, the policy itself needs to be approved in order for the procedures to then follow. Like things have to go in sequential order. And so that's why the note says to be confirmed as accurate prior to publication under the references. I hope that that's what yours says too.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Tiffany.
I was just going to make a note on number 4 here under regulations that there's a missing T in staff, just like a minor spelling.
Thank you.
We can just correct that.
Are there any other comments? Craig?
Yes, on number 5, under regulations, we're talking just about, for instance, an example would be a nurse coming in and teaching some of that.
Any external presenter on that topic.
Okay. And except where permitted through religious instructions, is that mainly for our schools that are aligned with us?
No, this is from the, sorry, I should be doing that through. This is from the Education Act, and that is what the minister said. And it has more so to do with our religious schools, like the Catholic School Board and so on and so forth.
Okay, but not the, like our 2 private?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Alternative.
Sorry, alternative school. I couldn't think of the word. I'm getting old. So anyway, no, I just wanted to clarify that's not about us, but it's more about, okay.
Because it comes from the Act. That's why we put it there.
Christina?
Just curious about the, and this might be a question for Mike, but some of the, sorry, first of all, thank you. This is great. I really like the definitions in particular. Some of the content though from the current volunteer policy kind of covers some big categories like insurance and just some of those like big topics around volunteers specifically and the safety of students. Is the intention that some of that language gets moved into a procedure?
Short answer is yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The purpose of the previous motion was to make sure we have the time to go through and was there anything that was missed or that should be in procedure, that sort of thing. And yeah, just in relation to number 5, those are the procedures that we brought in last year based on ministerial orders and changes to the Education Act. So it's really just a legislated requirement.
I see one more error here. I'm not sure how this happened, but under the definitions, performers should also say performers and presenters as a title. Yeah, remember it was performers and presenters. Yeah, I'm not sure how that got dropped.
Allison and then Christina.
Thank you. One of the pieces that I had requested for consideration, I know that Tiffany thought so as well, was in regards to our current policy 1003.5 on conducting research, and in looking at other divisions and what they put in their policy, which is like kind of a statement of what you want to see for research. I had proposed wording to be added to this that said Lethbridge School Division is interested in working with researchers to conduct high quality research that supports teaching and learning. All research involving division students and or staff must receive division approval before data gathering activities can begin. So knowing that this piece is on school and community and still incorporates that research piece, it's not just the approval of, but it is a statement of that we support and that we're interested in working with researchers. I think that it needs to be in this section, and I would propose that it be added to this part.
Okay, thank you. I will allow for response.
Sure. I did receive that statement from you, and I was grateful to get that. And in section or regulation number 2 is where that information was incorporated. And it was wordsmithed. And one of the reasons, I can't remember exactly because I don't have your statement in front of me, was I think the statement said something about teaching or something high quality. Could you read it again? What the research was about that you were referencing?
Yep, Lethbridge School Division is interested in working with researchers to conduct high quality research that supports teaching and learning.
Yes. And so the reason that I didn't specifically say that was because I thought it was limiting in that there could be other research that goes beyond teaching and learning. So instead, I limited it to Lethbridge School Division may be interested in working with researchers to conduct research. And that's why I cut that off. And then all research involving division students and or staff must receive approval before activities can begin, which is just reinforcing that you're not, even though it says that researchers in the definition are conducting approved research, I did take what you said and put it in here again as a reinforcing statement. And then a third time, if research is approved by the division or school, it does not obligate any person to participate. So that was how I synthesized that into this.
Any other comments? Morag.
Sorry, just a little addition because I have the honor of reviewing research proposals that come to our division. We have had several this year, and some don't involve teaching and learning. So I appreciate that shift because there are still some things that we do in our education world that don't necessarily pertain to that, but have significant impact on teaching and learning still. So thanks for that.
Christina.
For me, it's just kind of an overall comment. To me, this is an example, like I value this and I'm willing to support it. And at the same time, as a governor, I actually struggle with this amalgamation. This is one of those examples where I feel like we're losing quite a lot of oversight on many big topics by amalgamating them into a smaller policy. I understand the need. I understand that the board has decided that's the direction we're going. But I just feel like I need to make the comment that I feel like things like volunteers, like it's a very deep topic. The role of volunteers in schools, research in schools, very deep topic. And to amalgamate these into one is, in my estimate, potentially a loss to our role in governance, potentially a loss to clarity in our division. That being said, I feel like this meets the goal of the past board motion, so I'm willing to support it in that light. But yeah, I just feel like I need to raise that concern. And that being said, I do also trust that our administration will cover what they need in our procedure section. But yeah, I just want to have that concern.
Thank you. Craig.
Yeah, I don't mind this, but I do agree with Christina that as we get close to the third reading, we need to see the procedures that support this document. Because that's part of the, as Christina says, we know that you'll bring some procedures. We have got rid of a lot of stuff, but when I went over the policies really quick, a lot of it was just repeat, which we don't need. So I'm fine with this as long as we've got the procedures when we get to that point.
And I think too, if we do have concerns with the consolidation, if there are essential pieces that we feel we need to hold on to, this is the time to share what those pieces are to ensure that they're not lost. And if it is better for the board to not amalgamate or to create a longer policy to ensure that we capture an appropriate level of oversight, then we are responsible to do that. And so that's, I hear your comment, Christina, and I think that would be, the first vote. The first reading is the intent of the policy, but certainly there can be some work done to ensure that we don't lose oversight in areas or ensure that items are specified that need to be specified so that they're not lost. Allison, was your hand up? Yeah.
should this pass first reading. I feel that knowing that this is school and community, that it is important that our policy advisory committee do see the feedback that was provided through the public survey piece. And I would hope that this would go back to policy advisory to be able to have some oversight in the pieces and to hear their feedback into some of the pieces that were added, especially around the criminal record check and the vulnerable sector check. As well as in regards to the researcher piece, I think is important. And then for them just to see the feedback that was provided. So those would be my comments in regards to this.
Thank you. Any final comments? Okay, seeing none, the motion is on the floor. Those in favor? And those opposed? We're at the motion. We're at the vote. So I just need your vote, Tiffany. And this is for first reading. And I will just remind that there is room for continued work on this moving forward. So I will call the question. I will call the vote again, just to have clarity in the votes. Those in favor? And those opposed? Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. We now move on to 11.5, policy 1002.4, second reading. Cheryl.
Great, thank you. Okay, so this policy came to the board last month as for first reading. And I haven't received any further feedback on this, so I'm putting a motion forward that the board approve policy 1002.4, parent guardian responsibilities in school council for second reading.
Thank you very much. I will open it up for discussion. Craig.
Comment.
Christina, you're.
And I appreciate the work that's been done through PAC and through Cheryl and Tiffany. But I do think it's important that we see the old policy and what was deleted, what was changed, and like color coded, so that we give a better idea of what we're voting on. I mean, it looks good, but before I'm ready to pass a third reading on it, I'd like to just compare it. That would be my concern, just because I have to me, I've got to see it, and I've got to see the colors and say, okay, I can understand what we've done. So
thank you, Craig. Any other comments? All right. Oh, Christina, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to appreciate, I know that there was some conversation in the last meeting about some of the adjustments, so just thank you for reflecting those.
Okay, seeing no other hand for comment. Those in favor? And those in favor? I wasn't there yet. And those opposed? All right. Thank you very much. And so we will bring this forward for third reading at our next board meeting. All right, 11.6 Wellness Committee Reclassification. Tiffany.
Thank you. First, I would like to start by stating that wellness is and will always be a vital priority within our division. The Division Wellness Committee does exceptional work, and its members have established a highly effective and collaborative process that consistently supports the well-being of our students and staff. As a board, we remain fully supportive of the committee and the important work it undertakes. We recognize that the committee functions as an operational committee rather than a governance committee. Updates regarding the committee's work can continue to be provided to the board through the Associate Superintendent of Instructional Services. We may also request presentations from time to time to remain informed about its initiatives and progress. After careful consideration, the board has determined that the Wellness Committee no longer requires designation as a standing committee of the board. This decision does not diminish the importance of wellness within our division or the board's ongoing commitment to supporting and promoting this work. I move that the board remove the Division Wellness Committee from its list of standing committees.
Okay, thank you very much, Tiffany. I will open it up for discussion. Cheryl.
As the board provides funds for this committee, and we don't really know what the criterion are for dispersing these funds, I'm wondering if we can request that we know what the criterion are and how they're weighted and how they are distributed when the report is presented by the Associate Superintendent.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Christina.
Very well said, Tiffany. Thank you for reflecting the commitment of the board to wellness, the commitment of the division to wellness, and our support of the ongoing effort by Morrig and her team toward this effort. I also wanted to say on behalf of the board and those of us who've enjoyed time on Wellness Committee, a deep gratitude to the partners who join us. Of course, it's filled with many wonderful staff who are committed and implementing wellness throughout the division, but I think one of the privileges of being on that committee in the past as a board member has also been seeing the deep partnership that we've had from many community organizations and social service providers, which is not something that we necessarily often get direct access to. So thank you both to the, obviously the staff on the committee, but also to our partners who as a board we also appreciate and hope to have an ongoing relationship with.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. We now move on to 11.7 Policy Review Committee. This was an addition to the agenda, and so a memo and supporting documentation will be added following the meeting to the agenda. And this is Brooke Cully's item. Brooke.
So the background is this, the Policy Review Committee was set up as an ad hoc committee to review policies in a policy change, I guess, as the last term of the board. And so it appears that the work has not progressed as rapidly as the last board had hoped, and so it's an ongoing endeavor. And so I'm recommending that the board change this the designation of the Policy Review Committee from an ad hoc committee to a standing committee of the board. I believe that all the policies that we have are living documents and continue to be upgraded and changed as time goes on or as directives from the provincial government comes. And so I believe it's important for the continuation of this board and previous boards in policy reviews that this is a standing committee.
Thank you, Brooke. I will open it up for discussion. Allison.
Thank you for putting together the work that you did here for us. Just a question out of query. What do you feel the difference would be from moving from an ad hoc to a standing committee?
Yeah, I thought about that a little bit. And I looked at it through three lenses. And the first lens I looked at it was duration. So the ad hoc committee was temporary. And the standing committee is more permanent. So it can move from term to term. The other way I looked at it was the focus of the committee. And as an ad hoc committee, it was dedicated to a specialized function. And I think as a standing committee, it becomes more routine. And then the third one was the governance. And the committee was set up as a need. And as a standing committee, it ties directly with directly and effectively to the valued work to the Policy Advisory Committee, which is another standing committee of our committee. And I believe by having it as standing committee, the two can work together in a better coordination.
Awesome.
Thank you, Brooke. I appreciate your thought into that. Can you, a couple of pieces. One is in committee of the whole, we've certainly discussed a potential policy process review framework, which incorporates a number of different pieces, including the consultant, our stakeholders, and other pieces of that nature. And I know that you have the terms of reference that you've provided to us. Two pieces. One is, do you feel that you would be okay to move forward with including the policy process review framework in the work that you guys are going to look at doing? And second to that is the question, knowing that in that framework it includes the consultant and that we currently have hired. If this moves to a standing committee, I hope that at some point we don't have to have an ongoing consultant. So what does that look like for you to know when we would potentially not need the consultant, or that we would be able to move those pieces?
But I would certainly provide the terms of reference, and in the terms of reference, it doesn't speak to the consultant per se, but of course the framework for how we do this work, it does. I would think that over the course of time and as we get through more policies, I guess we could probably revisit the consultant's role, or whether we need one or not, or whether the consultant is someone totally different.
And I would say our consultant was hired to work on the reframeworking of our policies. And so I would understand that our time with the consultant would be done once the framework has been completed. Certainly, I think this is a really good opportunity to really solidify what policy review looks like by our board. And I think there is I appreciate it, and I will vote to support this becoming a standing committee. I know we've talked about how our board does own the policies, and what does that look like. And as we've moved through the policy work, I think there's been an ongoing debate of what is the role of PAC during this process. But I think it's important that within the terms of reference of this committee, that it be defined how it is connected to PAC. I think that needs to be clearly defined. And I think because it is important to continue to have stakeholder feedback, and I think to give clarity to what that looks like, and the differentiation between the two committees is important as well, just for clarity for all. But I certainly think that for this to be a standing committee would be beneficial to our board moving forward. And yeah, I think so. Anyone else? Craig.
I'm in support of this, and with what we discussed, what Mike's developed to the process, I think it works hand in hand. I do agree that we have to link the two standing committees. If this becomes a standing committee, we need that link in there, but that can be done later. But the other thing, just on the consultant, depending on what government we have, we could have to use the consultant just to help us form some policies to bring us in line with whatever and whoever the government is when they pass certain bills. So I wouldn't say that we need to, it should probably use where needed, probably is the word we need, is use the consultant where needed. So I'm in favor of this.
Allison.
And I think that may be it, Craig, right? Is that right now we have the consultant hired to get to us to completion, and then as needed, following the work of completion would then match us doing a standing committee, right? That they would still be involved as we needed that support piece. So thanks, Craig.
Any other comments? Okay, those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. All right, we now move on to number 12, division highlights. Brooke, I'm going to start with you today.
Excuse me. Well, I first want to mention attending Wilson's band night, where the grade 6, 7, and 8 and Winston band was there and performed some marvelous numbers. I have a lot of admiration for all the staff that teaches in this division, but I have a special admiration for middle school band teachers, because it seems like I don't know how they do it. And I know 2 of them. And I mean, it really is amazing. It was a wonderful night. And the other piece I wanted to share with a graduate of LCI art school. I think she probably graduated about 6 years ago in the art program, and she went to Queen's University and got a Bachelor's of Fine Arts with honors. And she's now studying in London at Goldsmith University there. And she has a show at the Casa that opened on Saturday night. And it's an amazing show. I would suggest anybody take it in. It's in the main gallery at Casa. But you can see how somebody that really enjoys the arts in high school can move that into a very, very impactful career. And I think she's on to some great things, and I just suggest you go visit it.
Excellent. Thank you, Brooke. Craig.
I went to the band concert and should have wore earplugs, but it was great because they had everybody play at the end, and it was noisy in there. The other thing and I just happened to find it on Facebook, I think from LCI, is that we have a graduating student, I think from LCI, that received a $120,000 scholarship. And I think it's important that we start recognizing those kind of achievements. That's just as good as winning the provincial championship in sports. Or, that covers her whole education for 4 years at University of Victoria. And I'm really proud of her. And I can't remember her name, but it really was worth reading about it. And I'm just trying to find out if someone wants to carry a cutout face of mine to some of the graduations on the 25th, because I'm booked solid for long-term service awards. But I would just like to express to the schools, to the students, and the trustees that although it's been an interesting, maybe hectic, not the way we would have liked to have seen a year go by, I appreciate all the hard work that every school does to educate the students that they have and the opportunities they give the students to be involved in as many things as possible. And I appreciate our admin team for giving us the information that we need to help make decisions. And I appreciate getting to know the new board and be able to work with them. And I think it's just, we're coming along. We still have things to do. We're never perfect. But I just want the teachers, the support staff, the caretakers, the admin assistants to know we would be struggling without them. And our maintenance people, our facility people, they're the ones that work hard. We don't see them a lot, And it would be really nice to, I want to acknowledge all of those people and just say it's been an interesting year. It's been productive, and I look forward to the next 3 years.
Thank you, Craig. Tiffany.
I've really enjoyed a lot of things in this role, and one of them has been being liaison to some of the schools that I've been assigned to, and just really appreciated them being so warm and just getting to know their communities a little bit more and participating in some of their activities. So I've appreciated that. The one highlight that I would like to talk about is just going through that process of the selection for the ICE scholarships, and particularly during the judging, as we got to hear stories of the students and how they came from situations where they were going to drop out of school, or they were really not able to interact with their peers, or really in a bad place, and to see where they've come to and how they've created these wonderful projects that showcase their gifts and talents. And in some of the presentations, you could see how they really struggled in the beginning, and then just how they rose up and were able to just thrive and do so well. And so there were so many of the winners that were in that situation, and it was so amazing to see how they came from those situations and flourished. So that was like really impactful to me, and I just appreciated that.
Thank you, Tiffany. Cheryl.
June is a very busy month, and there's so many wonderful things to celebrate. So I would just talk about two things, one that I've done and one that I'm looking forward to. So one of the highlights for me this year was attending the LCI graduation. I thought it was phenomenal the way that the principal incorporated traditional Indigenous practices and ways of knowing into her address to the graduates through not only her presence with that stunningly beautiful headdress, but also in the way of storytelling and how she used that traditional practice to share inspirational messages to the graduates. I thought that was very meaningful. The thing I'm looking forward to is on the 20th, this Saturday at 11 o'clock, the division and the DARE committee here, which stands for Diversity, Equity, and Human Rights, which is through the ATA, is participating in the Pride Parade. And I think that is a wonderful acknowledgement of how we in our division celebrate the diversity of our students and show that we are welcoming and inclusive. So if anyone's around and wants to participate in Pride Parade, it's going to be Saturday. You can help decorate the float at 10 if you like over here at the Civic, but the parade actually starts at 11, and there will be activities in the park after where you can go and say hello to division staff or to some of our ATA teachers.
Okay. Thank you very much, Cheryl. Allison.
Thank you. So I'd like to start just by thanking the schools that I had this year, and for them inviting me into their schools and just being so welcoming. Just in regards to, we had community conversations here last week, and we had fabulous turnout with great conversations. It was just really important to connect with our community in different ways. Was able to attend the staff retirement supper, and that was fabulous to be able to hear and just really know that it was such hard decisions for some of them to make to step away, but knowing that it was the right decision for their families at that time. And just in regards to retirements, I think just recognizing a long-term parent that has been in our division, Shelley Roost, who has through all of both of her kids dedicated to school councils and division school council, and just really supported staff well-being and wellness, and parents having their being engaged in their child's education, and just the work that she has done. So as much as we will miss her at the school council tables in our division, I think she'll still be involved as a community member. And then just last but not least is our end result is always our graduations. And I know that we have 3 more coming up, plus our Victoria Park graduations. So just congratulations to all of our students, as well as our award ceremonies that we're going to be busy doing. So just, I think we still have lots of work to do this year, and I think that lots of celebration this last week and a half. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Allison. Christina.
Oh, I love the June ones specifically. They're so great. So nice. For me, it's the same thing, just something we've done and something I'm looking forward to is in our preparation for a board presentation at the Canadian School Boards Association. Trustee Mahed and I have been visiting a couple programs that are providing breakfast programs specifically in a couple of schools. We visited Nicholas Sharon and Senator Buchanan, and I just wanted to just share just a huge gratitude for the admin team there and for the teachers and support staff, and in particular the volunteers and parents and the folks that make these programs run and make sure that there's a very nourishing soft start for students to come to school and fuel them for all their learning. And it just reminded me of like the end of school and just how much we're going to miss kiddos over the summer, and just well wishes to all of our families as they head off into the summer, and we look forward to seeing them all in September.
Thank you very much. And I know I've been to some events that other trustees have been to, but it was, well, one of my highlights was this morning, this afternoon, the beginning of a board meeting. And it is not often I say that as a highlight, but to have the room filled with our ICE scholarship winners and their families and support teams. And that was just a really great honoring of those students and their creativity and gifts. And as Tiffany said earlier, it's just such an encouragement to see students thriving. I'm grateful for the staff that have chosen retirement and the years of service that they have given to our division. And I know in Robbie's report, there is one individual who's had 45 years of service for our division, and that is really incredible. And we are grateful for that person, for their dedication and commitment to Lethbridge School Division. One of the fun highlights I had is Dixie, my sheepadoodle, and I were actually invited to West Cooley Elementary to Miss Petka and Mrs. Basso's grade 2 class. And so it was really fun hanging out with 40 grade 2 students for about an hour and a half. So that was a highlight for me, certainly this month. But I just want to say how grateful I am for the team around this table. It's been our first year as a board, and we're just getting started, and I think we're ending in a good place, and I'm excited to start the next 3 years together, and certainly gratitude to our executive around the table as well for all of the heavy lifting and the dedication and care that you show our staff and student community as you lead in your areas. And certainly, I'll say this on behalf of myself and on behalf of the board. We certainly wish everybody a wonderful summer ahead and a good rest and adventure. The next item on our agenda is public forum. So that is in 10 minutes. So we will move forward from that and check back in at 5. So we will move to 13.1 PSBAA General Meeting 2026. Craig.
Sorry. Quite interesting and learned lots. I'm kind of glad we have independent senators in the Senate now, because they do a lot of work that's unknown. This particular lady is from Banff, and she put her name forward and got selected. She was the mayor of Banff. And so she gave a really good description of why the Senate is important and why we should care about it. Friday was a full day. Grant Ainsley, a media trainer, talked about how to do media interviews and what not to do, and how how to swing the question over to what you want to talk about instead of what they want to talk about. So it was really good. 3 presentations, and I'll have to have Tiffany or Allison talk because I started to have a headache and I could not stay in that room. But it was Phil McRae on AI and shaping up the future of public education. So when I finish, they can kind of fill in where I missed. The next was on compassion, fatigue, burnout, and a way forward, and the difference between compassion and empathy. And really interesting because compassion means you really serve somebody else. And how do we work on not becoming fatigued with compassion? The last presentation, which could not be filmed, it was by Kevin Cameron, but he gave us, the 3 of us, this thing, and I think Morag's probably got it. It's called The Guidelines for Conducting VTRs with Neurodivergent Students. Really, really interesting. Now, and I really want to stress this one point that he brought up. He talked about a couple of instances where they were students, but the incident happened outside of school in the town. And he said, we should not say it was a school incident. It's a community incident, which I think really is important to, it didn't happen on the school, even though they were students. It's a community issue and they've got to deal with it as a community, and we're part of the community. I really felt that was one of the best points that he brought out, that when we do have problems, if it happened in the school, then it's a school problem, sort of. But there's also the community involved. But he pointed out that people will say then, well, it was a school problem, but you've still got to get the community there. And then the other one is it's a community problem out there. So all of those things can be watched, I think, on the website. And then Saturday morning, we did a interactive presentation on strategic planning engagement. And we were sitting with Medicine Hat Public, and that was the interesting one. We're sitting there and we're thinking, you know, it might not be bad just to have an evening or a day where we meet with Medicine Hat Public and just talk about things, because they're a school board and we're a school board. They're not as big as us, but they still have some problems. So it was quite an interesting conversation. We have problems. So Indigenous Education Panel. Excellent. They had so much to share. We only got through 2 questions. But the one that really impressed me was Trinity Pretty Young Man. She's a Golden Hills School Division alumni. She was a recipient of the ASBA 2025 Honoring Spirit Indigenous Student Award. She's a young Blackfoot woman, Indigenous princess, and I think she still is, a member of the New Blood Cast. And she talked about how going to Strathmore, they were able to get from 2 students to more students and more. It was good. I liked it. And in the evening we had Curtis Ripp, who spoke on contested classrooms, choice, complexity in Alberta's public schools. And I've heard him before. It was a good presentation. He talks about getting thrown in jail in Uganda for exposing private schools that were raking in the money and not teaching. Anyway, it was a good one. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Lots of good information. And I'll leave it to Tiffany and Allison just to top up a few things, if they can.
Certainly. Allison, I see your hand. So I can start just with talking about Phil McRae's session on the role of AI in shaping the future of public education. So without going into a whole bunch of it, is just he has so much information to share, and he talks fast, but his information and resources are available from the ATA for us to get. He just really talked a lot about just how fast and rapid AI is coming into education and the change of that. Talked about AI tutors, talked about trust relationships, and that we really need to be looking at what part AI is playing. One thing that he did reference was in regards to AI and policy formation. So ensuring that we have good policy around AI. So when we look at that governance piece of what he emphasized for us is that making sure that we have policy that supports our students and our staff. And we can certainly look, ATA has some model policies that we can use as a template framework. And also Northern Gateway just finished their policy, so we can certainly take a look at the work that they've done on that. So it was a great session. Lots of great learning and just that awareness of where we need to be with AI, and that it's not the truth. We need to be watching and asking. So I think it was an important session and lots of great resources that he shared with us. So
Excellent. Thank you. Tiffany.
Allison did a really good job explaining that. The one thing he did talk about is just how important the human connection is, and that you really cannot never replace an actual teacher that can see that a child has something else going on and all those pieces. And so that was really interesting. He talked about how many jobs would be affected in the future, and he did give and I have it, but a really good site that keeps up with all the latest on AI that actually my husband has been looking at. That's actually quite interesting. But yeah, it's just that human intuition and judgment that will never replace that, and how important that actual relationships are.
Brooke.
Was Phil McCrae not a keynote at one of the ICE scholarship breakfasts? I believe one of the early ones, second one or so, he was a keynote.
Like in 2017, 2018?
No, like in 2015,
First ICE scholarship was 2016.
2016?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then it was 2017. Anyway, he's a great speaker.
Craig, is your hand up?
Yeah, I was just going to say Phil McCrae did teach at LCI for 1 year.
I'm just outside of Waterton.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. We will now move on. Thank you for the report, Craig. Are there any other questions? Okay. 13.2 DSC. Cheryl, you pulled this from the consent agenda.
Thank you. Thank you for the report on DSC, Craig. It was informative. For clarity, I just wanted to speak to the point about there was a discussion about the Policy Advisory Committee and so on and so forth, and no meeting being held in June. As the chair of the Policy Advisory Committee, there was no intention of a June meeting, and that information was communicated to committee members in both April and May and reminded. So for clarity, that was not held because there was no intention of holding one.
Thank you very much. Tiffany.
I just want to note that there was a bit of confusion because there was a survey sent out, and because there was interest to have that meeting, but that I think there was a little bit of confusion whether or not after the survey they would hear back and then there would be a decision made. And I think that's where the confusion was.
Thank you very much. Good to have clarification on that item. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Number 14 is correspondence sent. So you will see a letter to the Minister of Assisted Living and Social Services on behalf of the board. Number 15, correspondence received. You will see a letter from Minister Nicolaides regarding a collegiate approval. And I'm speaking slowly because we're at 4:57 and our public forum is at 5 o'clock. So we will just pause for 3 minutes. We will reset. Oh, We will recess for 3 minutes. Allison?
Just in regards to the correspondence there, I know that because it's in our package, we may potentially get questions from the community. And I think that knowing that our superintendent is doing some work on this, that we'll be provided with more information in the
Order. I'm going to ask that there be no side conversations while a trustee is speaking. Thank you. We were not on a break. We're still in public. Thank you. Allison,
Okay.
continue.
So just understanding that more information will be coming forward in regards to the letter that's in here, just because I know that sometimes when we're at school council meetings, we might get questions, and I know that our superintendent is working to provide us with information so that we can share more at a later date. So thank you, Mike.
Thank you. All right, we are going to recess for 2 minutes. So we can mute for 2 minutes and we will come back at 5 o'clock to check for public forum. All right, it is 5:03 and we are just seeing if there is anyone online to join us for public forum. There is no one in the boardroom with us. And seeing no one online. Nope, that brings us to the end of our public agenda, and so I am looking for a motion to move us in camera. Christina, those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much.